The Blokebusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Pod Bros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts, such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and The Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the Blokebusters podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Film Spotlight, a little side thing that we do every now and again where we try and get someone on and they get to talk about a film that they like and a film that they maybe don't like quite so much. I am Paul.
And I am Brian.
Yes, and in case you're wondering why I normally do all the introduction, Brian has picked up yet another illness of some kind, so I don't know
Apologies for any coughing fits, yeah.
Yes, I don't get the chance to edit around because, well, my life has got a lot busier, so I have less time for editing now. So yay!
Hey, all natural. We like it.
Alright, so this time around we have, well, I guess I have no other way of introducing him other than the YouTuber Toaden. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm just peachy.
Excellent.
Well, good, yes, and sporting a lovely CinemaSins shirt there, I can see.
That's self-branding.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Oh dear. As we normally do, we try and start with the film that you like first, and what myself and Brian will do is attempt to guess the genre of film that you have chosen. And I don't know if we've actually hit the nail on the head ever, but
I don't think so, no.
No, we've come close and we've taken the moral victory there, so I'm going to guess sci-fi.
Oh,
okay.
Now do you both guess or?
No, oh yeah. I would go with suspense thriller.
Not suspense thriller. Not really sci-fi, but there's definitely some weird sci-fi elements.
I'm taking it.
Well, I don't think it. Yeah, it's only sci-fi as in a ton of references, maybe.
Yep, that counts for me. I don't
That
care.
I just need to stick with my action comedy answer until I get it right.
See, now you would have got it right. If you
Oh! Damn it! Are you kidding
you would have hit it.
Alright, well, why don't you let us know what film you've chosen then?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, good choice.
I concur, yeah.
Alright, well,
it's a movie, which I was a fan of the comic book series as well. Yeah. And I'm hoping to reread that comic book series at some point. I have all the books on my shelf, and I do want to reread I never read the colored version, and so I'm hoping to collect the colored versions and read those. Because I don't know if you ever seen the art of the comic books.
I have indeed, yes.
Yeah, but in the black and white version, it's more based on the storyline than the art, and several of the characters look very similar. But in the colored version, which came out after the movie came out, it has a lot more, you can see a lot more detail, and the characters actually look different. And the movie is very much based on the 6-part comic book series. The volume 1 is practically line by line. The only thing really different between the first part of the movie and the volume 1 of the comic book is that the song is different than they play in the beginning, and that's also very noticeable because in the comic book it actually tells you the tabs and the lyrics of the song. So if you want to play along, you could.
That's kind of cool. I haven't had the chance to read the comics. I've seen them, and I obviously heard about them when I heard about Edgar Wright making Scott Pilgrim, and I considered going out to buy them, but I didn't have the money to just go out and buy them. So that's why I've never had the chance. Well, obviously,
Yeah.
It would seem now. I'm a fan, and I feel Brian is a fan. But
Yeah.
what we like people to do now is sell us on the film. So if someone is listening to this and hasn't seen it, why should they see it?
They should see it because it's an early 90s grunge punk movie, except for it's made in the 2000s. So it came maybe a little later than it should have. But it's a fantastic movie. The editing is very interesting, and you don't have to apply any fan theories, but it's a movie you can sit around and talk about all day long and always miss something. And it's just incredibly great if you think about from a first person perspective. The fact that the entire movie could just be based inside this one character's head is will give you a reason to rewatch it again and again.
Yeah, I would concur with that. And
absolutely. I've never tired of watching.
With me, with comedies, I don't normally like quote unquote stupid comedies that things just happen just to happen because you're dumb. But this one, it happens in such an intelligent way. It's hard to think of the stuff as an intelligent way, but it happens in such an intelligent way. It comes off, and as unsmoothly as it is, it just comes off after you watch it for the first 20, 30 minutes, and you go, wait, did that just happen? And then the rest of it just goes off very smoothly because you realize anything can happen because you're seeing it from an odd perspective, in my mind. I don't know that turns some people off, but I think that's what turned off the audience in the theaters, because it didn't do too well in the movie theaters. I saw it 3 times in movie theaters, and it was never to a full crowd. But every time I really, really enjoyed it in the theaters, and I own it now, and I still enjoy watching it every time. And it really has found a home once it went on DVD. It really found a place in cult classics very fast.
Yeah, and obviously it helped that Edgar Wright was at the helm of this thing, and when trying to describe this film, I have come up with nothing better than to say this is what a live action anime would be like, because there's just
that's a great description.
There's so much stuff in there, and it's probably also the reason why my wife walked out of it, because she's not an anime fan.
The books were when the first English type, not because I can't call it American because they were made in Canada, but the books were when the first like manga style books that weren't in Japan, but but that's how they kind of put them out. I mean, they weren't really manga. I can't pronounce that word correctly, but manga. They weren't manga, but they were the North American style art inside those books. I mean, you can tell it was inspired, but it was very different. And that actually helped sell the book and inspired other artists to write books in that way, because they became marketed towards women because they're easier to put those books inside their purses. And that's kind of interesting, the way like Spider-Man Mary Jane started selling a lot more when they switched that format, because because it's just a new style of books that weren't manga, but I don't know if they really made any manga references. They've made a ton of video game references, though.
Yes,
yes, indeed.
Not a game at all.
Yeah, and I'd say the closest they come is when you have the super vegan, who is both a Superman and almost a Goku type character.
Yeah, and the fact that he played Superman, it just makes it so much better.
Yeah. Well, before we kind of get into some of the other people in it, then, so what about this film spoke to you? Like, why did you go back and see it 2 more times?
Well, I'm a big punk fan, and the fact that it's, I got to pull up most of the soundtrack was done by Beck. And the soundtrack is phenomenal, and yes, I just love the comedy in it. I think one of the greatest lines that got me was when Scott Pilgrim, Michael Cera's character, which I surprised he was able to pull this character off, but when he's talking to Julie and then she just starts cussing and there's all these weird bleeps and noises to censor her and he just goes, how are you doing that with your mouth?
Yeah.
And it just sets it up like it's like, yeah, that's exactly how I would react too.
Yeah, right. My absolute favorite bit in the entire film is just almost a throwaway thing when Knives turns up and it's Kieran Culkin who answers the door and she's like, oh, is Scott here? And then you just see him go flying through the window and he just goes, oh, he just left.
Yeah.
So just
that's
that,
fantastic.
So many great little bits like that. Or when they're saying this band needs stalkers, and then they see her in the window, and it does the title sequence again, and her title changed to Stalker.
Yeah.
The little throwaway bits really make that movie great. Even the little Seinfeld intro music they put in the middle of the whole thing.
But all those things just make it just repeatedly watchable. You know, it just I never tire of it because of those.
Yeah, and I normally ask what's your favorite moment or scene, but we will be here for the next 2 hours if I
You're right.
get into that. So how about then? And this is going to sound insane to anyone that hasn't seen the film. Which is your favorite X?
Ooh.
My favorite.
We all get to answer, right?
Yeah, sure.
But he gets to go first? Okay.
I think the girl is my favorite X. She was the fourth one, I believe. Third or fourth.
She's the third one to turn up, but I think she's the fifth one they deal with.
Okay.
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, because she turns up in an alley and then just kind of disappears, and then you meet one or two more, and then she turns up again.
Right, which is awesome because she does that a couple times in the book, but it's funny because there's another ninja that does the same thing to him, but he's not in the movie, the other ninja. Right. Yeah, that really makes it interesting because he doesn't know who's doing it because it's two different ninjas doing very similar things to him, and he never does find out who the other ninja is, but the audience finds out.
Oh, okay. All right, well, how about you then, Brian? What's your favorite X?
Oh, absolutely, Lucas Lee. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Lucas Lee.
That's actually hilarious.
Himself. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And there's
one of my
also
favorites.
a lot of little tiny disses to, what's his name? He was in, to another skateboarder turned actor, turned Scientologist. What's his name?
Jason.
Yes, him.
Jason Lee.
Yeah, Jason Lee.
Yes. Together we can. All right, yeah, we got it.
Nerd power unite.
Yeah, I do like. I think my favorite line of his is just when he's walking away after the stunt guy is starting his role, and then he's just reading something. And he just goes, "Huh, that's actually hilarious." And it's just,
hey, you guys want a coffee?
Yeah. But, yeah, I just love his epic grind into his demise was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it just keeps cutting back to just whoa.
Yeah, and they even cut off the whoa at the end. Yeah. The editing it was so simple, but yet it was so effective. There was mistakes made in the editing as well. If you saw it in the theater, you might actually see that they very much made it for digital, but in the theater, it has the extra crop around around the video, and so some of the titles are actually cut off in the theaters.
Oh.
So that really made me go, the editing's both great and also breaks my mind, except unless someone else redistribute it differently. But then on the DVD, it looks fine.
Oh, so what? He was Lucas Lee in the cinema, was he? Or did they just cut off the edges?
Well, a lot of the graphics, like when in the movie when they do the room layout, where it has whose stuff belongs to who, some of the titles are actually cut off a little bit.
Right. Oh, okay. That's
Well,
very-
not you don't see that in it obviously was fixed since then. But.
Yes.
Yeah. If I
I
can
just
jump
love
in,
those things like that. Like when I first saw the first Thor movie, I actually saw it in an analog theater when it was one of the few theaters that didn't go digital yet, and you were able to see boom mics in several shots because the crop difference between sending it digitally and doing it analog is if you saw an analog in an old style theater, you actually see the boom mic all the time. But you go see it in a projector theater, you didn't see the boom at all. And I think it was just two different people did it, and one person didn't know exactly what he was doing.
Probably.
So.
Sounds about right.
I'm a nerd. I noticed.
you're safe here. Yeah.
Yes, this is a safe haven.
No, I did want to just ask. This thought just occurred to me a little while ago, but do you think this film has anything to do with the success of, say, a film like Deadpool, in that it was a unique film experience that people weren't accustomed to seeing, like the way the narrative unfolded and the sight gags and in jokes. I mean, do you think there's any connection there at all?
Yes, absolutely. And the movie got approved, like the movie rights got bought after the third book, knowing that there's going to be 3 more books, and Edgar Wright and I'm just going to go ahead and Google the writers of the book's name here.
Yeah, I used to know, but I can't off the top of my head. I just can't get it.
I think it's like O'Grady or something.
Brian Lee O'Malley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Brian Lee O'Malley. So him and Edgar Wright actually talk through a lot of it, and in the movie they actually used the first ideas of what the books were going to be, especially in the 5th and 6th axes, which were the brothers. So that means the girl had to be the 4th. Yeah, because the brothers were the 5 and 6.
Yes, they were.
And they were very different in the book, but he wanted to do that epic fight, the music battle in the book, but he just couldn't figure out how to draw it. But the point is that the book itself was very comic book and probably was inspired by Deadpool, because Deadpool was huge at that point in the comic books. Everyone loved the Deadpool comic books. And that's why the movie ever even got made, was because people wanted a Deadpool movie very, very badly.
And thankfully that footage was leaked. Whoever did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Leaked. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't know.
Leaked in quotes. Yes.
Yeah. I imagine that everyone here has seen the Deadpool. Was it from comic to screen documentary where he says that there's only 4 people that could possibly have done it, and no one's owning up to
it. It was Reynolds. I'm convinced. But
yeah, I think the chances of it being anyone but him, I think, are very slim. Yeah. So
yeah, but it's funny because I'm looking through the cast of Scott Pilgrim, and Michael Cera he's not in a lot of things I like, and he definitely changed the character of Scott Pilgrim. I mean, well, the stories are different too, because in the book, the entire story takes place about a year, and the whole Battle of the Band scene was just for the movie in order to condense it, obviously, because different mediums. In the movie, it takes place under maybe 2-3 weeks. In the books, it's a full year, and they changed the story from Scott Pilgrim being kind of a slacker punk type kid. And he grows up. It's a coming of age story, how he kind of becomes an adult. Because he goes from this jobless guy who doesn't need a job, doesn't want a job, to getting a job, and then kind of adulting, learning how to adult. And then in the Michael Cera version, he's kind of a jerk. He's a slacker to the point he's a jerk. At least the other Scott was a lovable jerk. He might be a guy that grabs your phone when you're not looking, but then he'll just be playing games with it until the battery dies. Yeah. I'm sorry, I got caught in Candy Crush land.
Yeah, the lovable dick.
Exactly. Yeah, and I feel like the Mike Cera version, he would grab it because he'd be like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm going to play Candy Crush," and and not see what's wrong with him playing with it, but he would do it right in front of you and be like, "Well, I don't know what else to do. I'm bored." Kind of come off as a not so lovable one, but there's always your differences.
And I. Just looking at the cast list as well, it's shocking the people that were in it, given what they've been in now. Because you've got Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Kieran Culkin, Alison Pill, Anna Kendrick, Brie Larson, Audrey Plaza, Chris Evans,
Oscar winner,
Brandon Routh. Yeah. I mean, it's just a ridiculous number of people that I don't know if, I like to think that everyone involved, if this film was made now, they would still make it, and they would still make it for the amount of money they got then, because it looked like just such a love letter type film.
Right. I think this movie, it either came 10 years too early or 10 years too late. It just didn't hit its sweet spot.
Yeah, and it became, I think, my second or third favorite film of all time the second I watched it, and really? And I think that unfortunately there's not too many people out there that think the same way I do, and therefore, yes, it definitely took a while to really catch on for a lot of people. Even though, I went to see it because it was Edgar Wright, and then I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like this film. but yeah, it did shock me how, I don't want to say badly, but how not well it did in the cinema at the time.
Yeah, that did. Yeah, that was odd.
Yeah,
I thought didn't even make its money back in the theater. That's crazy to think how good this film is.
I know. Yeah, but I'm sure.
At least we won't have a horrible sequel. That's a good thing.
Yeah, less is more.
Well, that actually is the last thing we tend to ask in this one, which is obviously there is no sequel. So, do you feel like there could be one or should be one? And if you were going to make one, what would you do? Or do you not?
I would, if I did a sequel to this, it would have to be in the form of a comic book. I feel like it would have to be a comic book sequel, and not a movie. Or unless you turn the entire series into an actual TV show, which I do think it would be possible. It's just, you would only deal with the next, maybe every season or half season. And as a bonus story, I would make, instead of and have another X or have a friend of the X. So he would have to earn the power of acquaintance. And maybe fight him with greeting cards or something. That was a fan theory when they asked, there was a big fan theory thing in the comics where they asked people if they could come up with a new X or a new enemy, who would it be? And that was one of the fan theories, was it would be a friend of somebody and he would have to unlock the power of acquaintance and win the fight with a greeting card. I thought that was pretty nice. So if there was a sequel,
awesome.
It would have to be a 15-minute bonus, story, not a full-length movie.
Yeah, well, I'd
or
like
base the movie on another character, maybe Knives Chow or something.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I've seen the it's the storyboard version of what happened when Scott met Kim Pine.
Yes. The Comedy Central Cartoon Network did the little anime of that. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I think that I think that should just be somehow theatrically released, and then that's just it. Just have a little offshoot rather than a full sequel, because you really do tell the whole story.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I know Paul's familiar, but are you familiar with the fantastic series, Spaced? The British series?
No.
Okay. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, but they did something in, what was it? Is it the 15th or 20th anniversary, Paul? Has it been that long?
I believe it was the 15th when it came out.
Yeah, but they did a little tag in the bonus features and updated the characters, and it was 5-minute thing, and it was perfect. It was perfect. It just kind of answered any questions out there, and it was great. I'd love to see something like that.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was 5 minutes. I thought it was like.
Oh, it might have even been. Yeah, I think I was just trying to make it sound better, but yeah, it's like 30 seconds.
Which was it. Yeah, it did kind of the way the show was. It was just perfect that they just kind of tag in a very last thing at the end. So yeah, it was. I can see that. Like, that would definitely make more sense, especially with Edgar Wright stuff. I mean, Edgar Wright manages to do such full stories that there's not much room outside it.
And the part of the Edgar Wright influence was the fight with Scott at the end, and they actually played with the idea because in Hot Fuzz he got criticized for just more action. Like, when you get to the point where when this is just gonna end, like, really another fight scene? And so they played with, so that was actually a joke on the critics at the end for the movie, and it was just brilliant. It was amazingly done. It was brilliant. But another thing at the end is they actually, O'Malley actually struggled with trying to wonder if Scott should end up with Ramona or Knives. Even in the book, he struggled with knowing that. So he actually flip-flopped a little bit in it. But then, of course, there was the awesome scene in the book where Knives and Kim make out, but, you only get that in the books.
Oh, damn it.
There's a whole lot. In the books, it makes sense he ends up with Ramona, because it really is all about, a coming-of-age story and learning certain basic morals. In the movie, they went back to, like, maybe we should have them end up with Knives, because they have that really great connection at the end.
Well, and before we move on, my favorite X is the third X. I never actually did finish saying that.
Oh, yeah.
Just because, obviously, as I've said, I'm a big fan of anime, big fan of that kind of thing, and just this ultra super powered X that just get taken down by the vegan police. Which is a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Should be a thing.
Books, it comes off as even better because they're saying how great he was because he was a vegan. At that point, I don't remember if it was before or after Scott got a job as a sous chef at a vegan restaurant. So they actually don't hold anything against. Stephen Stills was the head chef. And at that point in one of the books, they actually tell you how to make a vegan shepherd's pie, by the way. So that's the point of having a vegan shepherd pie, but why not? And that does include the recipe and preparation. The books are amazing, by the way.
They sound it. There was actually a manga that I started reading a while ago. I really need to get back into it, and it's like Addicted to Curry, and every single volume of the manga has a recipe for curry. So, and every single volume that I read ends with him basically winning by creating a dish that was so delicious that the other person just has to give up and go away. It's completely pointless and just fun. So I kind of like when
I wish I knew there were recipes in these things. I'd be reading comic books and graphic novels more. Yes, I wish I knew.
Well, I once bought a vinyl CD at a concert that came with a recipe for whiskey pudding. And then I got the whole band to sign it.
Oh, nice.
And if you listen to the Simpsons
Google
episode,
whiskey pudding.
If you listen to the end of the Simpsons episode with Paul and Linda McCartney, the song that plays over the credits, if you play it backwards, it is a recipe for lentil soup.
This has been Secret Recipes by Paul and Brian.
Yeah, and that does sound like a
new
joke,
segment coming to Blockbusters.
Yes, coming never.
That was it. One episode and done. The pilot did not get picked up.
Yes, unfortunately. All right. Well, I think we should definitely move on then. So how about
really?
Yes, I know. We get into the murky waters of a film that maybe you didn't like so much. And
I wanted to pick a movie that was similar, but just did it wrong.
okay,
Do you guys guess the genre on this or not?
no, there's so many different
Horror
bad
movies.
films. It's just-
Okay, so I also wanted to pick a movie that a lot of people like, and I just think it's torture for me watching. Which, by the way, I blame you guys for making me watch it again just to refresh my mind how horrible it was.
I never said you had to rewatch it. You took that
No,
upon
but I
yourself.
feel like if I didn't rewatch it, there would be a lot I would get wrong when I completely tell you how horrible it is.
Yes, I do sort of understand that. I've get it on the Soiled Wrestling Cinema podcast, and yet you do have to watch the terrible film so that you can talk about the terrible film.
It's another Michael Cera movie.
Okay.
Juno.
Alrighty, that is one that I have never seen and never had any desire to see.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, there's a movie trailer going on. I think it's like The Edge of a Teen, and actually lists Juno. I don't know if they list Scott Pilgrim in it, but I know it lists Juno as one of the greatest modern comedies. There's a whole bunch of comedies that pop up saying it's one of it belongs in this list. I'm like, you're not gonna make me go see this by telling me it's like Juno.
Yes, I think I've seen that trailer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have seen it, yeah. So, yeah. So at least we have someone here that's seen it. But yes, proceed.
Yeah, part of why I chose it was because so many people love the movie, and it's so bad. It's bad. When people say I'm like Juno, and I go, you have no personality? Are you like you might just be like the Twilight character?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that was actually one of the when I first saw the trailer. It was just like, so it is just kind of a whiny, just teenager. There's no attractive quality to these people. They're just kind of meh. I felt just from the trailer. Did it get any better in the film? Did they have any real positive
They have
traits?
one. If there's any reason to watch Juno, it's for what's his name?
Jason Bateman?
No, I hate Jason Bateman.
All right, well.
Another reason why the movie's horrible. I honestly don't know if there's any movie.
Oh no, J.K.
Jason Bateman
Simmons.
that I like. No, the reason to watch that movie is for J.K. Simmons. He is an absolutely amazing actor.
Yeah, you watch anything that guy's in.
So, I mean, all I have to say is J.K. Simmons and Jason Bateman kind of cross each other off on this.
Okay.
They cancel each other out.
They cancel each other out. So then we're left with Michael Cera, which doesn't know what he's doing half the time in the movie. And then J.K. Simmons, hey, of course he has the best line of the movie. Didn't know the kid had it in him.
Okay.
And then you got Ellen Page, which is not memorable. I didn't remember the actress's name because I didn't think it was worth remembering her name.
Wow, that's a real shame. She's done some fantastic stuff. So it's,
I think she's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people have
Not
seen
in
it.
everything, but
Right,
Inception. Yeah. I thought she was terrific in Inception.
I'm looking through her list right now. I haven't seen most of these movies, so never saw Inception. I did X-Men.
Hard Candy.
Kitty Pryde. She was good in X-Men Days Future Past for Kitty Pryde for her one line.
Yeah, as Brian said, Hard Candy, definitely my favorite film by her. It's a fantastic film.
It is, yeah. I
she
saw that in
carried
theater. It's good, yeah.
One thing I really hated about the movie was about Juno was definitely the soundtrack. Because it made no sense. It's good music. It's good folk type music.
Yeah, you got Sonic Youth on there, and
Well, they talk about Sonic Youth. They talk about a lot of alternative rock bands, but they don't actually play them. The music itself that they do play is a lot of folk inspired rock, but they don't actually play all these rock things that they talk about. So it really doesn't make any sense, because half the movie is her talking about music, and at the end they're playing another folk-inspired sort of rock song, which is exactly what she would say she doesn't like. So they don't get the characters straight and stay with them. I mean, if it was supposed to be a coming-of-age movie, we would have saw her progress. But she never. There's a lot of there's a lot of the character. I just don't understand why people think it's relatable. Because the character really isn't I feel like the movie should have focused on the mother to be and not Juno. Because her story was way more interesting than Juno's. Because as soon as Juno decided to give the baby up, she no longer thought of it as her baby. It was just dealing with certain things that they didn't even deal that much into. It's almost like, why am I even watching this movie other than throwaway jokes the entire time? This is Juno is a nitpicker's paradise of bad movies. Because there's enough concrete to make fun of. It's just all nitpicks because there's nothing concrete in the movie.
Now, I do remember really enjoying this film when it came out. So I just want to put that out there, right? I will own up to that. For it. Yeah, it is in my iTunes cloud, which is another, sad admission. But it isn't one that has held up for me. Certainly, it was one of those things I was, like I said, initially enamored with, but then the facade kind of falls away for you, much in the way that kind of Garden State did for me. I thought that was the greatest shit ever, and then I'm like, oh, this is a pile of garbage. What the fuck was I thinking? So that's where I'm coming from on Judo.
Fair enough.
Just had to get my thoughts out there.
Yeah.
So if you saw it in the theater and first came out, you'd probably get, maybe a positive image. Then after you think about it, sleep on it. Do I watch this once? Yeah, let's watch it again. I remember really enjoying the ride. And then you realize you already know the movie. There is no ride. It's just this. Nothing this.
Yeah.
I like
Between
the idea.
1 and 10, it's a 5 because I don't know where to go.
Yeah, it's aggressively mediocre. Yeah, that's how I like to put it.
Yeah, well, I like the idea that obviously you were saying they talk about music that just isn't in it. Maybe they had the idea to get all these songs, and then when they went to the artist and said, hey, we want to use your music, and they watched the film and went, no.
There's nothing
pre-production, they were all about it in pre-production, and then they go, oh, this is, like you said, aggressively mediocre. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We change our mind.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How about if someone came to you with this script or this film and said, fix it, what would you do?
Okay, well, I would look at it so the character reminds me of Megan Fox. So, since Megan Fox is a horrible actress, we'll replace her with a cardboard cutout. And we'll just animate that. Everyone walking around talking to a cardboard cutout, which actually would be a really good art piece, I think.
Kind of like Lars and the Real Girl.
Yeah. We'll just make it like a weird art piece, and then you'll at least get to watch it for that. No, I'm horribly making a joke here. I would show, it would have to give the characters more, make them actual characters. Change Jason Bates' character completely. I like the fact that he's supposed to be someone that Juno can relate to. But that whole flirtatious thing, if they eliminated all that and actually made them the family they were supposed to be, that probably, because there was no need for that drama. In fact, I think that drama actually hurt Juno, because if Juno really wanted a better home, she would, because she didn't even care about it. Yeah, she cried, but she cried more or less because he flirted with her, and it broke her dream. But she still went with it because she didn't know what else to do. And then she went on with their life like it never happened, which is kind of sad. But this is supposed to be a comedy, though. And there's nothing more, and there's so many nitpicks about this. Like, why is the track team running when they're picking up the other people in the track team? There's no point in that. You're supposed to meet somewhere, and then you run together. So when you're coming out of your house, you're like, oh yeah, that's my team running past my house. Are you like their towel manager? Why weren't you there when they started?
Yes, nitpicker's paradise indeed.
So yeah, I would reform the ideas. I would try to, I would actually give it a reason, because there's no reason this movie. It would need motivations. There's a lot to explore in that movie, which they never touch. Again, got kind of compared to Twilight, because there's a ton of great stories in Twilight. We're just not watching them. It's just not the one we're following.
Yeah, well, obviously the issue with Twilight is that it is what it is. So, yeah, and I swear I read this, and I've never been able to find it again, and no one has ever been able to corroborate it with me. But Stephenie Meyer wrote somewhere that before writing Twilight, she had never seen any vampire films or read any vampire novels.
I've heard that.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I have no trouble believing that.
Yeah,
she originally wrote it as a Harry. No, was it? No, it wasn't Harry. No, it was a 50 Shades of Grey fan fiction.
Oh dear.
And so she had to change it in order to sell it.
So she took one pile of garbage and then wrote another one. Okay.
Yes. So it was originally 50 Shades of Grey fan fiction, and then she replaced a bunch of stuff. And now I've never read or watched 50 Shades of Grey, but when I first saw Twilight, the first time I saw the movie, I ended up walking out thinking, wow, there was a ton of potential in that movie. But it just wasn't seen. I wonder if then this is me not knowing anything, by the way, only seeing the movie in the theater full of people that received it pretty well. It's like, I don't love this movie, but there's just a ton of potential. And now I'm interested in the book, because maybe they misinterpret the book. So I worked at a comic book store at the time that met up every Friday night and then talked about comics and sci-fi movies and stuff like that. And I brought up Twilight. I'm like, is the book worth reading? Because there was a ton of potential in the movie. And then the one girl in the group looks at me and goes, no, the movie had more action. You would hate yourself for even attempting to read the book. And I was like, okay, I'll stay away. And then after learning more, I was like, wow. Because there was just a ton of potential there, and they missed it. And I feel that it's not exactly the same with Juno, because the potential would have been way more, where it's not a movie that's really any action, but it keeps you riveted in drama. It would have been less comedy, more drama, maybe more of a dramedy even.
Now, one of the things that I think is wrong about Twilight might also be your issue with Juno, which is if you did just replace the lead actress with someone else, someone with maybe a bit more range, do you think that would help either one?
With Twilight, yes. With Juno, no. I feel like the writers needed something more to go on. I think there was too much push to make it a comedy and make the actress be relatable by not being relatable, which was the point of the character in Twilight. By making her a blank page, by making her cardboard, it was supposed to be so the watcher can put themselves in her position. And I feel like that's what they did with the Juno, because apparently that works. Now with me, I want to like the character. In order to like the character, I have to see the character. So I would actually make the movie less of a drama, less of a comedy, and more of a dramedy, or more of just straight drama. like, have you seen the movie We Need to Talk About Kevin? I would make the movie a little bit more like that it's more of a way more suspenseful and based on drama, and try to make it a tearjerker.
Yeah, well, I mean, isn't one of the main plot points in Juno is she wants to give up the baby, but like, is she either not sure about it or that she runs into issues there? Like, I do think that doing a comedy about that is a bit of an odd choice.
Yeah, never in the movie does she want to keep the baby.
Okay.
But the way they made her choose no abortion was kind of a cop out, but it was also funny to watch, and it also showed that she had some sort of a heart, or they're pandering to anti-abortion, political, who knows? But because they need her to get into that situation that they wanted. It seems like they had another story they wanted to tell. They just couldn't get to that. And maybe this was just a way to sell their movie. Who knows?
Yeah. I think there is a good drama in there, but certainly we didn't see it. Like, because it does deal with a serious issue, but you didn't feel any of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would have been funnier if they went to the point where they were actually selling the baby on the black market. But then again, you don't normally, I don't know what is there to laugh about. Oh, that's what they could do. They could do the Grimm Fairy Tales version where they made it just a Rumpelstiltskin movie. That would have sold more too. Because that's what Rumpelstiltskin was kind of about, right? Kind of selling your baby to, to profit.
Yeah, sure.
That's what Rumpelstiltskin was about. People love fairy tale retellings.
Absolutely.
So maybe it could be like a bait and switch type thing where the first half of the film
without Bateman
is leading up, is leading up to what Juno's leading up to, and then all of a sudden it just turns into black market baby selling type thing. It's like, well,
and Bateman would actually make an incredible, horrible Rumpelstiltskin. He would actually be really fun because you couldn't take him seriously, which would be the comedy part.
Oh my god!
Or you could always just get.
Wow.
I'm just ruining your Jason Bateman for you.
It's okay. I mean, I still have Teen Wolf 2 to watch, so that's all right.
Wait, was he in Teen Wolf 2?
Yeah, he was the lead.
Okay, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Teen Wolf.
Yeah, you won't.
Oh, that's right. He was discount Michael J. Fox because they couldn't.
Yes, he was. They couldn't get. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Made him about boxing and singing, and I don't remember the rest.
Oh, it's fantastic. I recommend the 2-pack, the $10 DVD 2-pack. Yeah.
I'm out to get that. I don't believe I've seen Teen Wolf 2. I've seen the first one.
Oh, they're great back to back.
I'm sure they are. So basically the takeaway from us talking about Juno is you should watch Teen Wolf 2.
I fully endorse that statement.
Yeah. Watch Teen Wolf 1 and 2. That way you get a good mediocre movie and an okay mediocre movie all together. If discount, instead of Bateman trying to hold his own, he's just a discount Michael J. Fox. I can totally support that.
Yeah, absolutely. You should just do all of the other Michael J. Fox sequels that never happened.
Yeah.
Frighteners 2, maybe? Yeah.
That is kind of right for a remake or sequel type thing, so that'd be interesting. Maybe that could be something we could do in a later episode or something, try and come up with the Frighteners 2 script.
Let's do it. Yeah. I'm in for it. Trademark. Right. All right, can we trademark that? Yeah, it's just, we don't have an idea yet. Okay.
I believe we can say patent.
Edit this out, Paul. Sure. We gotta work on this. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna leave it
in. Or you can do what I do with my podcast. I'll edit out the version I put out, because I put out them on both audio and video format, and then I keep everything in together in the director's cut, which will eventually I'll have a place to put the director's cuts. Probably a Patreon.
Yeah.
And then if people want to see me argue, or at least have those weird discussions with my co-hosts and go completely off topic talking about gaff tape, then they can watch the Patreon versions, which would be the director's cut.
Yeah, I think I still have all of the raw files from our recordings just somewhere on this computer, so I could just shove them all somewhere and then see if anyone's at all interested. The answer's probably no, but there you go.
Definitely no.
There's just a whole bunch of, I'm sorry, can I hear you? Can you hear me? Hello? Which would make a great dubstep remake if you really want to spend the time. Just every time someone says that, just make a remix and dubstep it all. You'll have a hit on your hands.
Yeah, although I think by the third or fourth time that happened, I would just have like a record scratch and be okay. Enough of that. Just carry on. All right. Well,
Jason Bateman was a Matlock. Now I know what happened to that series.
Did you see The Gift at all? Did you not like him?
No, did not see.
You didn't see it? Okay.
No,
I thought he was pretty good in that, but yeah. I'm not a Bateman apologist. Just I've liked him in a couple things. I'm not going all out Bateman here. Yeah.
I remember turning off. I remember
Arrested Development.
wanting to like Sliders. I remember really wanting to like Sliders.
Oh, they're delicious. They're just the little hamburgers. They're perfect.
Not the hamburgers.
I wondered if you were going to go for that.
It was low-hanging fruit, yes, but it's funny.
I'm sorry. Sliders is Gary O'Connell, the other Jason Bateman.
Yeah, the cheaper version of Michael J. Fox.
Kevin, you can pretty much just swap Kevin O'Connor and Jason Bateman, just have the same actor.
I bet they have both beaten each other out for a lot of parts.
Yeah, I have that every now and again with a couple of actors, and of course I can't remember off the top of my head. But okay,
Can you just replace every Bateman and Kevin O'Connor movie with
Kevin
Hall?
You mean Jerry?
Jerry O'Connor, him too, yeah, Jerry O'Connor. Replace Jerry O'Connor and Jason Bateman with Michael C. Hall in all their movies, and then be a better place.
Oh my God! Yeah. I'm about it.
Yeah, that's about it.
And while we're at it, we'll just have Neil Gaiman write every single movie. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see a Juno movie written by Neil Gaiman.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. Paul, I think that has to be a new question for these. Who would you have rather have seen direct the film you hated?
Well,
like a Wes Anderson version of this? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Can we get the Tim Burton movie?
Oh, no. The Quentin Tarantino version.
Jesus Christ. That was True Romance.
There's way too much talk in this movie. We don't need talk about what kind of pipe smoke you're using.
Well, no, there's not enough racial slurs, I think. You need to have
yeah. You can't play the N-word drinking game with that. Yeah. Come on.
Okay, we probably should be wrapping this
We probably should cut that part out, Paul.
No, this is gold. I'm leaving it in.
Actually would have been a great writer-director of Juno. The guy that did The Breakfast Club and Pretty Pink.
John Hughes.
John Hughes. Yeah.
John Hughes. If Juno was a John Hughes movie, that probably would have been good.
I can see that.
Didn't he do one of those? I feel like, I don't know.
Maybe.
I feel like he really touched closely on this.
I know Molly Ringwald did The Secret Life of American Teenager, which is kind of like that. But I don't.
No, he did. She's Having a Baby with Kevin Bacon.
He also did 101 Dalmatians.
But yeah, that was like unprepared.
101 Dalmatians. Yeah, completely relatable to Juno. Yeah.
But yeah, she's having a baby. They're unprepared parents. So That's pretty close.
Seen it.
Okay.
I think we know why no one's seen it, because this is not a great topic for comedy.
It's not great. Yeah, it's not it's no Ferris Bueller. I'll give it that. Yeah, I'll give it that. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is another film that Paul does not like. Yeah, I know. That's why I chose Ferris Bueller, Paul.
Yes. All right. We really do need to wrap up here. So.
Oh, please, just 18 more tangents.
Yes. So
we need to talk about the best slider. Which slider would have represented this movie? I would go with Nutella with the Nutella and marshmallow slider. I think that would go best with Juno.
Arby's corned beef
place
slider.
that makes those. It's fantastic.
I like the actually like the jalapeno one from Arby's. That's quite a nice one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and everyone listening outside of America has no idea what we're talking about right now. So,
and thank you, Arby's, for your continued sponsorship.
Yeah, and okay, one last tangent, I swear. The Red Robin advert, I don't know if you've seen the one where they go to England and they're trying to get the guard to respond, and the way they do it is to go Red Robin, so he goes, yum. Red Robin doesn't exist in England, so that wouldn't have worked.
In one of my videos, I actually have about, I do a lot of zombie events, and I did yell Red Robin while filming one of the zombie walks. So you just see like 100 zombies, shambling down a major street go, yum. And I also do that with Subway all the time. But instead of saying eat fresh, they always say eat flesh.
Well, of course. Although, please tell me they do it in the John Lovitz voice.
Oh, let's just talk about John Lovitz movies. What happened to him? I was just telling my girlfriend to watch High School High.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Him and the Wedding Singer, too. Greatest cameo.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. They're out of minds.
We're going to make this very difficult for you to edit.
And the best part of Grown Ups, too, I'll have you know.
Okay.
Not a high bar to reach, mind you, but he nailed it. Yeah.
What's the line? Like, I'm having a good time. And again, I haven't seen Grown Ups 2, but I have listened to The Worst Idea of All Time. So there we go.
All right.
Yes, seriously now. So why don't you...
We can't let Paul do this. We can't let him do it. Let's keep going.
I'm sorry. I have responsibilities I need to get to.
All right.
So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, and not you, Brian, before you jump in. I know you were going to.
Well, okay, go ahead.
They can find me at Toaden.com, youtube.com/ToadenK. I'm also on the podcast Media Litter Sandwich, so you can find that at MediaLitterSandwich.com or with Pod Bros, of course, because we all love Pod Bros, right?
Yay!
So you can find all our stuff at Pod Bros. I believe I'm the only podcast on Pod Bros that is also video. So you can download the audio, but if you want to actually watch us on video, you can do that as well. So yeah, I do a lot of, not just do the podcast, which is all about being a media creator with photographers and graphic arts people also providing commentary, but I also do a lot of live events. I was just at YomaCon doing an anime one and do a lot of zombie events as well.
Well,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I need to catch up on some of your videos. I haven't had much free time recently. But,
they are family friendly, so you don't have to worry about putting on headphones. We make that a priority to make sure you can listen to them without putting on headphones when your kids are around.
Oh, okay. So not like this show then. Gotcha.
Yeah, we cannot say the same thing.
Yeah. Well, when we put out director's cuts, they'll, that's why those aren't going to go on the YouTube channel itself.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you do want to come on one of the regular episodes as well, just let us know. We'll try and work it out.
Just send me the invite.
Oh, good.
It's there.
Yes,
It has been sent.
that was the invite. It's a verbal contract.
Invite without any reference to Jason Bateman. Watch, you're gonna send me like a Photoshop gif of Jason Bateman with kissy marks all over. Please come on our show. Jason Bateman panel. Flowers. Really appreciate it.
We normally do give out Jason Bateman signed photos to our guests, but
yes.
I guess we'll make
signed by us. It's really weird. Yeah, they're just autographed by us, not Jason Bateman.
Yes, no,
so they're quite rare.
Yeah, they are indeed. They're even rarer than Jason Bateman signed photos.
That is true. Yeah. Oh my God! All right.
So we'll discuss the Bateman slider.
Ooh.
Ooh, what kind of bacon?
Cheese.
Maybe turkey bacon? Yes, that makes sense. Turkey bacon. Because all his movies are turkeys.
Oh, right.
All right, now back to what you guys were
I think that was the death knell you just heard. All right.
All right. Well, in that case, trying to wrap this up before it goes even further down the drain. It's obviously. So you found out where you can find him. You can find us on Twitter at Blokebusters, Facebook.com/Blokebusters. You can email us, blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com, because Muggins here forgot the second S. And we're also on Instagram, sort of. We've got stuff on there. I'm not very good at keeping it up to date. And we do have a website, blokebusters.web.com, that I'm currently in the middle of revamping, sort of, which will probably take me about a month. So there we go. And with all that being said, I've been Paul.
I've been Brian.
Bye, folks.